But it has to do with this mystery disease that is being observed, sort of, in dogs in Oregon and a few other states. So somebody posted an article from NBC News about it. And she said that her mother's dog was diagnosed with this mystery illness. And the owner does not feed her raw, but she doesn't feed her kibble. She home cooks. And the dog is only a year old. And she is fully vaccinated. She spends time at doggy daycare. The person who wrote this question is worried about the jabs because she's getting a new puppy and she's afraid that there's going to be one more jab coming because of this. And there's nothing she can do about that part, except, put him on RMF. She says she thinks what's spreading is actually something in the vaccines. And I'll have a comment about that. I asked because my oldest pup was 4 when she became deathly ill after her rabies vaccine, and that was 9 years ago. And she hasn't had any since, but she had a horrible respiratory illness. Okay. So yeah, from the NBC News article, the symptoms of this mystery disease are coughing, sneezing, nasal and eye discharge, along with being lethargic. And here is what Dr. Kurt Williams, the director of Oregon Veterinary Diagnostics Lab, told the NBC News affiliate that people should avoid boarding their dogs, visiting dog daycares, dog parks, and anywhere else dogs typically gather outside of the same household until the illness is contained. Outside of the same household. Where have we heard that before? Until the illness is contained. I'll have more to say about that too. And he also said, quote, I think it would not be a bad idea to avoid possible situations where your dog is mingling with other dogs and make sure we got that, doc, and make sure your dog is fully vaccinated. And this fully vaccinated part is the problem. And that's why this mystery disease was diagnosed in the case of your mom's Great Dane, because the dog is fully vaccinated. So where can a vet go if that dog has been vaccinated for every known disease that's supposed to be communicable under the sun? Where are they supposed to go when a dog presents with the symptoms of one of those diseases, but is fully vaccinated? All they can do is say, this is something new. This is a mystery disease. So that's why they're coming to this conclusion, not that the vaccine might not be working. Yeah, maybe the vaccine's not working, but they won't go there. They won't go there in the heads. They would rather make up something like this mystery illness. Anyway, so that's what they are being confronted with. Symptoms that are normally related to disease complexes for which the presumed immunity has already been conferred onto the dogs, namely vaccination. Many of the dogs that are being diagnosed with this mystery disease are fully vaccinated. Yet here we have this expert, this premier expert, talking to the media, telling us all to make sure our dogs are fully vaccinated. Well, what good is that going to do, Doc? Do you see the double speak and the hypocrisy that's going on here? This is a vaccine selling campaign, and there's a little more drug nefariousness going on here too. But this is nothing more than a selling campaign. There are no new diseases. Disease is as ancient as life itself, and it is fully intact in the same forms that it first appeared in on this planet. That it manifests in various ways is a testament to the tools that the body has available to it for eliminating problems. Disease is the body's way of eliminating or compensating for problems, causes. There are no new symptoms, and the idea is impossible. It would require the existence of a new type of life form, and that itself is impossible. If the cause is one or more of the substances used in the vaccines themselves, and this gets to the question that was asked, that would still be the same old diseases, the same old causes, and the same old symptoms, the same old reactions that the body has to some deleterious influence. There's nothing new. And if more problematic ingredients are being used in vaccines, it's just more reason to avoid them. But we don't have any, we don't need any other reason to avoid vaccines, because we know fundamentally that there is no such thing as health that can be dispensed from a needle. That's just all we need to know. So this article goes on, quote, Williams urged dog owners to remain patient and calm until scientists identify the disease. This is kind of funny to me. I mean, it's funny without laughter, right? Because remaining patient and calm is the very last thing that is intended or desired by these people who are putting these stories out. What they want is to incite a silent panic among dog owners that will have them further positioning their heads so deeply in the sand that the true causes of their dog's health issues will never be recognized by them. That's what they want. Of what use is it to identify a disease? Does naming some false scapegoat that is blamed for a problem getting you any closer to solving the problem? No, it doesn't. No, unless the problem that you're faced with is selling vaccines. It's very effective for that purpose. Yeah, you guys know the drill. Okay, so this leads me to the topic I promised to talk about regarding a mysterious disease that is supposedly spreading among cats. And the big story that is making the rounds now in the media has to do with the cats on Cyprus, which is an island in the Mediterranean just north of Egypt. And this came up in a discussion that I was participating in on the Purina group, which is normally a pretty good group, but they're not truth seekers like we are. But the admins had posted some kind of story about this mystery cat illness in Cyprus, and she took me to task for my comments about it. I think I probably said, "Oh, it's you know, it's not what it seems," or something like that. It would have been pretty tame. But anyway, on Cyprus, there is apparently a large population of feral cats, and the islanders all take care of them. They take responsibility for feeding them, and I suppose they trap, neuter, and release them. And but all you have to do is this story is really making the rounds. So all you have to do is put in your search engine mystery cat illness in Cyprus or words to that effect, and you'll get all kinds of reports and articles that don't agree with each other. Interestingly, there are reports with exaggerated claims, like that a third of the population of cats has been wiped out by this mystery disease. It's supposed to be similar to FIP, which is feline infectious peritonitis, but peritonitis is 100% not infectious, not infectious. But this number, a third of the population, is unsubstantiated. And you will even find people who in academia conceding that these numbers are unsubstantiated. Where are they coming from? You know, I saw one article that said 300,000 or 30,000. I think it said 300,000 cats dead on Cyprus, which is crazy. It's unsubstantiated. But I found this blog published by the University of Guelph in Canada. I'll post the link below, called Worms and Germs. And it says, quote, it was actually, I thought at first that it was written by somebody who's completely objective. And I had to read a little closer to see that it's not. The guy's not objective because he's taking a lot for granted. But it's more objective than what we see in other articles about this particular topic. So he says, quote, in general, when we have reports of strange disease events, there are a few scenarios to consider. One, it's a completely new disease. That's impossible. Two, something has changed regarding a known disease. I suppose that's possible. But the change would be in our perception of it, not in the disease itself. 3, it's a known disease doing what it normally does, but circumstances have led to a unique local short-term situation. 4, it's a known disease doing what it normally does, but with more attention being paid to it. And he says all of these happen, period. I'd say that numbers 3 and 4 are most common, with number 4 being particularly common due to amplification of routine disease situations by social media. Well, that is a lie. That is a big fat lie, because where does this amplification take place, guys? It does not take place on social media. Yeah, some people just spread these articles around, but social media is one of the few places you can still find the truth. Where you see these claims of disease killing huge numbers or outbreaks on and on and on is not social media, it's mass media. Mass media is where you see all the agreement. Even though when you look at the fine print, you do see disagreement. You see claims that are being made that are just being pulled out of somebody's you-know-what. But the article also says, quote, it has actually been suggested that the number of deaths is less than 10,000. And in a population the size of Cyprus's cat population, that would represent 1%, which is the normal mortality for cats on Cyprus. So here we have normal mortality, but what do we have? Increased attention. That's what we get, increased attention. And here's why. This is a clue for you. He says in this article, quote, there was also, and it just amazes me that they can say this and not realize that it's a clue for us. Like we're gonna be tipped off to what's really going on by reading this. He says, quote, there was also a recent report that extra COVID-19 drugs, well, I probably shouldn't have said that, are being used in some cats on the island. Details are sparse, and it's hard to see how that will help much in the context of an outbreak. Some C19 drugs, mainly remdesivir, have great promise for treatment of FIP, which is usually a fatal disease in cats. So what does that tell you guys? He goes on, he says, however, while it will help the small number of sick cats that get access to the drug, well, no, it probably won't. It won't help stop the outbreak since it will have no impact on transmission within the population. Of course it wouldn't. It's circulation of the wild type C virus that affects cats, the feline C virus, that's the problem. And treatment of a handful of cats with FIP won't do anything for that, of course. And nobody would even claim that it would. But here's the thing. Those drugs are being dumped. This is our hint that this mystery illness and all of the media-driven panic are all about a drug dump. Nobody who has 2 legs and a brain between his ears is taking remdesivir now. I mean, the demand for the drug is greatly decreased now that people are discovering that it's very harmful. And they know lots of people who have died from taking it. But there was a great deal of it manufactured during the recent few years, as you probably know. The problem is what to do with all of it now that humans don't want to take it anymore. And let me tell you that the pet health, so-called health sector, is a perfect dumping ground. There are no malpractice suits, there's no accountability, there's no risk at all. It doesn't matter if animals die, there's no consequences. There are no recriminations for vets at all, except what they suffer personally, and who knows, I suppose they all do to some extent, but only pure profit. There's no risk. There's a little bit of cost involved in, they've got to research the dosages for smaller animals than humans, and they've got to repackage it, but that's small compared to dumping all of it the way it should be dumped, which would not bring any return at all. And that's what they're faced with. Do we cut our losses and dump this on the pet market, or do we take nothing at all? Do we just throw this stuff out? So this is a little prediction that I have. I think the next thing we're going to be hearing about is that there's a brilliant new drug or a brilliant new discovery or application that's been made about an old drug, namely remdesivir, to this new mystery disease. So that may happen without a lot of falderall in the media. I don't know. But, vets will be hearing about this if it happens, if this theory of mine is what's really going on. But it would serve that purpose so easily. Is it not obvious that it would serve that purpose? So this is just another media hoax to sell drugs. And I hope that doesn't sound shocking to anyone. It shouldn't by now. But just in case it does, everybody needs to realize that the media companies are owned by the same corporations who manufacture drugs. It's not just a matter of sponsorship. It's a matter of those same bosses that own the drug companies they also own the media company and the drug company, both of them. So both are accountable to that parent company. And with merging and acquisitions and monopolizing and all of that happens behind the scenes, we now have just a very few companies at the top running everything. So it's really not hard to imagine how they can shape the world the way they want to. And if they want you to start buying more drugs, they can make you very afraid of new diseases.